thank you all very much for joining. Hello, and welcome to Trilogy Tech Talks. We're super excited to have you joining us today. Very grateful to have you here and taking time out of your day. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Chad Jeffries, Head of Talent Acquisition and Marketing at Trilogy. And if you're new and joining us for the first time, we've just want to give you a brief rundown. So Tech Talks are obviously a way for us to bring the community of technologists together for an interactive discussion. And, we're going to be taking deep dives into technology products and practices and various concepts to better learn and understand our industry as a whole, but also to help serve our clients and customers in the meantime. So now, Trilogy and Confluent decided to, bring this knowledge to the public for many reasons, but mainly as a way to showcase technical expertise and also help with, folks that are understanding cloud for any new folks that are here as technologists joining. This is going to be potentially a little bit advanced. However, that's why we have our guest speaker here. That's going to break this down simply for you, but also for technologists that are currently doing this, it's going to help you understand Confluent and the products and potentials that could entail. So anyway, I also want to mention that this is a very open discussion, so feel free to utilize the chat function. You can also use the Trilogy Confluent series hashtag on Twitter, and we'll be monitoring questions on there as well. So whatever you feel is the best for you, that's what's going to be going on. So joining us all the way from San Francisco, Bay Area, is Kundan Vyas. He's currently a staff product manager for Kafka Connect. And other connectors at Confluent as well. So he's focusing on storage and messaging connectors as well. So Kundan has worked with companies like Cisco, Oracle in the past, and prior to joining Confluent, actually worked as a principal product manager for Oracle Integration Cloud. So and other Oracle Cloud services as well. So anyway, Kundan, thank you so much for joining. How are you today?
Doing great, Chad. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I really appreciate you taking the time and doing this for us. So we're super excited.
No, absolutely. I think this is really exciting, and thanks so much for the intro. Please let me know when we are ready to get started, and we'll go from there.
Sure, sounds good. I'm going to go ahead and send this live feed now, so you should be all set. I do want to say one more thing, just for everybody, real quick, so Kundan can dive in. Confluent helps its customers harness their data in motion for private infrastructures on their platform, as well as providing fully managed services for their customers' existing cloud environments. So I wanted to kind of preface what Confluent does for those of you that are joining. This is the second talk in the series of the three-part series for Confluent Trilogy Tech Talks. So anyway, Kundan, you are good to go, my friend.
Cool, great. Thanks so much for the introduction, Chad. Let's get started. Okay. Perfect. So thanks for the opportunity again, everybody. This is really exciting to kind of come and present to the team here. So today's session is on Kafka Connect and connectors. So I'll be walking you through all the details around it. I'm assuming a lot of other sessions are covered for you, as Chad has mentioned before. Just will send a little more context to what connectors and other things, but I'll be able to walk you through some more deeper topics related to Connect today and give you a full-on overview. So let's get started. Okay, so before going to the content, I just want to walk you through a couple of slides very quickly. These are our safe harbor slides. Just wanted to be aware that a lot of functionalities which I'll be covering today are actually targeted for future, and they're subject to change. So please treat this session purely for your education purpose only. Please do not make any purchase decisions based on just this session. Please do your own research and reach out to the account team and reach out to us if you have other questions. Yeah, we'll go from there. Also, for one more thing, just want to highlight here that since I'll be covering roadmap related content today, I would say that the content of the session is considered confidential, so please do not share it broadly outside. This is purely for your, again, education purpose only. All right. So with that, let's get started. We have about like 50 minutes or an hour's time here, and I want to actually walk you through some of the key items. I'm going to start with a quick introduction to Kafka Connect, where I'll be able to give you some background on what Connect is and what is our thought process or strategy, approach, or vision for Connect. What are we trying to do there? How are we simplifying things for our customers and developers? And then I'll get into some of the like architecture slide and talk about the components so that you get a clear sense of what Connect is and how it functions. Then I'll get into the connectors because that very quickly gets the topic which people want to look into. What are the connectors we have today, and what are we supporting, and what are our thoughts around the connectors, and how are we able to scale? How are we working with partners and things like that? So I'll touch upon that, and then I'll get into the roadmap of our connectors because I think there's a constant evolving work happening. There's so many different areas we are supporting already today, but there's a lot more work which is happening to support new connectors. So I'll be able to talk about, give you a perspective of what that list is. I'll touch a little bit upon custom connectors as well, like how our customers, some of our customers are actually able to build that. Just some framework related details on that, and then I'm going to touch a little bit upon some of the other connectors, more specifically around Elasticsearch and things like that, which are, I believe, of interest to some of you. That's what I heard based on my previous discussion. So, let's go look at what are the key updates on that. Right. So let's get started. Before I get into the core content related to Kafka Connect, I just want to use one slide to set a little bit of context here, right? There are a couple of key trends which I really want to talk about. The first thing is really the fact that most companies are today in the process of either modernizing their infrastructure or applications, and they want to offer newer experiences to their customers, partners, employees, or if it's government organizations, to directly their citizens. So they're building all these newer experiences and newer applications, and they want to get real-time visibility into the data generated by all these applications, right? And right, that problem was actually solved by a few engineers back in 2011, who are actually the current founders of Confluent. They worked towards a solution, and they named it Kafka, and over time it was donated to Apache Software Foundation, and it gained a lot of traction. A lot of developers actually adopted that over time, and companies. And as of today, it's actually, you can see all these brands and logos, they all are adopting or are live with actually Kafka as a core part of their data integration platform or strategy, right? So 80% of the large companies, the Fortune 100 companies, they're all using Kafka, and to just get real-time visibility into the data which is generated by all their applications. But that's, again, used on-prem or in the cloud, they're able to leverage that across in all sort of scenarios. So that's a little bit of context about how Confluent is playing an active role in identifying a key area which is of importance to most of the industries, and which is more about setting the data in motion and helping customers get visibility into that data as and when the data is getting generated, right? So that's a little bit of context there. I'm just going to highlight one quick thing before I go to the specific topic today, which is Connect. The Confluent products are available in two offerings, and I'm pretty sure we can work with the account team to cover deep dives on like each of these areas. But essentially, something for you to know that Confluent products are available in a self-managed fashion. Like you can use it on premise or in the cloud as a Confluent platform. As a platform, you can run it in your Docker image or in your Kubernetes or on your data center. Essentially, either run it on-prem in the cloud or in a hybrid mode, right? The second offering is more for the customers who are looking for a fully managed solution, where they just purely want to rely on a service which is always made available for you, where the patching, upgrade, and everything else is done by Confluent. So that's available in Confluent Cloud, and that's available on the top 3 cloud providers available out there. So something for you to know before I get into the core content today. All right. Okay, so with that, let's get started. So let's talk about Kafka Connect, right? So Connect is one of the core functionalities within Apache Kafka, and I'm going to walk you through more details in the upcoming slides. Just want to share a little bit of like our vision behind how we are taking an existing functionality called Connect, which is within the open source Apache Kafka, and what is our approach to kind of provide value to our customers? What is that extra? What is our vision behind simplifying the experience our developers are having while interacting with Connect, right? So I'll just highlight a couple of things from a vision standpoint. The first thing is Connect being a very important component, which enables which enables our developers to get data in and out of Kafka. We are really focusing on making that whole experience of interacting with Connect as seamless as possible. And what I mean by that is making it as declarative as possible, as self-service as possible, so our developers can treat it and use Connect more as a low-code or absolutely no-code data integration tool, where they just come in and rely on the whole experience, which is designed for them to then start using it, right? So that's number one. The second thing is we want to the whole seamless experience. We want to offer that across our on-premise solution and as well as in the cloud. So depending on what works for our customers better, I think they can pick and choose, and then you should find the consistent experience. Of course, I think cloud offers its own set of advantages, but I think and then you might see some new projects coming up there. But I think overall, our strategy towards supporting our customers on-prem and cloud is always consistent. Now let me touch upon a few key areas when it comes to connectors and Connect. So one of the ongoing efforts we have internally within the team is to simplify the user experience around using any connectors. So as and when developers start using any connector within our platform, we're looking at ways to reduce the number of steps involved to just try out a connector, configure it, and launch it, and things like that. So that's something which you'll see over a period of time, us simplifying that for you, and then improvements coming up soon. Then across the core foundation of the Connect itself, we're looking at ways in which we can offer some common functionalities like logging or monitoring. How can we offer that across all the connectors and the Connect framework, so that it's consistent for a developer to kind of go and look into how the connector is performing and what sort of data is generated and how is it performing and things like that, look into logs. A couple of other areas, as I was mentioning, we want to equally focus on platform and cloud, offer that choice to our customers. On the platform side, we already support a wide range of connectors, and we continue to explore what are the areas we want to create new ones for our customers and support them. But we are also continuing to do one important thing. There are areas like database interactions or capture data change sort of use cases, which are very common between a lot of large enterprises, small, medium, and large enterprises with Oracle database and database DB2. We are trying to identify some of the top scenarios like that and offer them as premium capabilities, because we're looking at a lot of our customers spending a lot of time building those connectors, or spending a lot of expertise and time and energy and effort in building those custom solutions. So we would rather actually provide those type of connectors for them. So I think that's one area you'll see over time as to we will be offering some premium functionalities over time through the premium connectors. And lastly, on the cloud, definitely that's a big focus for us. We currently have more connectors on premise when compared to cloud, but I think over time, I think there's a big focus to kind of completely reduce that, have feature parity, have the parity of connectors, and support equal number of connectors in the cloud as well. At the same time, you'll see some more improvements, cloud-specific improvements, which will come along with the connectors when it comes to simplifying, the Connect experience. And from a long-term perspective, one last thing I'll mention here is we are also exploring how we can create a marketplace type of experience for our developers and partners to kind of even upload or share a custom built connector by them, so that others can take advantage of it, right? So, but that's a long-term plan. So let's a little bit on the vision here. Just want to make sure that you understand, what are some of the key areas we are working on. So with that, let's get into some of the more specific details of Connect itself. So here you'd see, again, to hopefully you're going through a series of sessions, and in other sessions you get to see the rest of the Kafka components. Here we are talking mainly about Connect, and Connect is one of the core components, and it was primarily designed to make it easier for developers to get data in and out of Kafka. And you'd see that here, right in the center. Connect sits between your source, applications or repositories, and the target applications and repositories, and it makes it easier for you to kind of bring data from your source and write it to Kafka topics, and then do the same, where it also allows you to kind of pick specific type of data you want to pick from your topics in Kafka and write it to the destination or your target repositories. So there are two types of connectors you typically see, the source and the sync connector. Source is the one which lets you specify the coordinates or the credentials or details of the source repository from where you want to pull data and write it to a Kafka topic. And the sync connectors are the ones which are taking data from Kafka and writing actually to your target repositories, right? Now, there are lots of features. I'll touch upon a few other things as we go along, but there are two things I really want to highlight about Connect. The first thing is it's very developer friendly. It's designed to be very developer friendly because it's declarative in nature. By default, a developer doesn't really have to come in and essentially write any code to take advantage of an existing connector. You just come in, you choose the connector you want to use, you configure the connector, and then you launch it, right? So it's all very declarative. The whole experience of coming into Kafka and looking at just configuring and launching a connector is completely declarative, no code needed. Just compare it to like the experience of how you typically, as a developer, need a SDK or an API to interact with the system. Here, the design is saying that, look, we have a connector available for you, and the way we have designed it is that you just have to configure it to use. Tell the connector where you need to point your source repository, and then it is going to start actually working automatically, right? So that's the beauty of that. It's making developers' life easier. Second, is that fact that a Connect is designed to scale right from the beginning. Right, the creators of Kafka thought so much not just about scaling the Kafka clusters, but also the Connect piece, which is enabling you to get data in and out of Kafka, because that also needs scale, right? So a lot of scenarios you will see systems think about scaling as an afterthought, but here that's the very first thought which came in as they were designing the system. So these are the two things I feel when compared to so many other developer platforms, they make it really great for enterprises or developers to consider, right? Okay, so I think I will cover some of the other features as we go along, but I just want to highlight some of the key terminologies here which will help you as we progress through the slides, because there are quite a few terms here. For the people who are not aware of these, I think it'll be good for them to know. So I'm just going to go over them very quickly. So the connector in the world of Kafka Connect, I think you'll hear these terms. Connector is itself that piece of abstraction, that library. Think of it as a jar file, because it's all basically Kafka is all Java-based solution. So connector is your abstraction which does the job of reading the data from source or writing to the destination repository, right? As a developer, you are like, that whole implementation is hidden from you. That's the abstraction. But essentially, at the end of the day, as an asset, that's a library. Think of it as a jar file. Task is a part of sort of the connector. It kind of works with that, because task is the piece of code which is actually doing the actual job of reading the data or writing the data. And that's the part which makes the connector more scalable. So let's say if you want your connector to perform better or read or write data faster, you configure it to use more number of tasks. Now it's think of it as like 10 people trying to do the job versus one one person trying to do jobs. The same thing applies here, where you say, I want 10 tasks. I want to connect it, configure this connector with 10 tasks. And what that means is that there are 10 different little instances of a task which are coordinating with each other to figure out what is the overall task of, like, you know, how many records we have to pull and things like that. So that's the way to task is something which makes it makes the connector scale. Okay. Then we have worker, which is like, think of it as an independent process. It's a Java server on which your connector is running. Cluster is something which is grouping all these workers, all these servers together, right? So the connect cluster. And then you'll do the converter is think of it as a library which is actually doing the job of converting the data from one format to another before writing it actually to Kafka. It does not change your data, but it's essentially just taking the data as it comes, and then you specify what format you want to convert it to. Out of the box, we support a few formats, and then you can choose those. Transform is again a out of the box. All these capabilities are part of the framework. So transform is something which allows you to easily, at least for the simple transformations, you can specify what you want to do with the data or the record which is coming. So like if you want to do simpler things like, identify filter the records and replace one particular field with a certain value, or, do small field level, transformations, this transform is really good for that. So that comes out of the box. So it's very declarative.
Yeah. Hey, Nanda, I'm going to step in real quick. We got a question.
Sure.
All right. So this is from Steve. Thanks, Steve. Is there a way to try out some of the connectors before diving fully in? So like a demo environment or something similar?
Yeah, sure. So there are a couple of ways you can do that. Actually, the first one, you can sign up for, the easiest way to do that would be for signing up a trial for our Confluent Cloud. And you'll always find some sort of a promo code, and if you attend some sessions, and I'll try to share some with you after the session as well. So you will find a list of connectors in the cloud there. You'll be able to try them out. I think that's the quickest way. The second is we also have a Docker image. I think we call it the Confluent Platform demo, which comes pre-bundled with a whole bunch of connectors which are deployed. So I think I can share the link of that right after the session itself for you all. You can just download that and follow the instructions. Very good guidance is already there. So those are two ways. You can try it in the cloud, but you might not find all the connectors in the cloud. As I was saying, there are lesser connectors in the cloud when compared to on-prem. And on-prem, you can try it with your by running a Docker image, which runs our Confluent Platform product, which bundles all these connectors. So yeah, those are the two ways. And we have good documentation, so
awesome.
That should hopefully walk you through all the steps. Yeah.
Thanks.
Cool. Absolutely. So let's move a little faster. I just want to see how I'm doing with the time. So I'm going now into some of the more specific details here of how what lies under the hood in the connect and connector. So this is a very high level diagram, but I just want to highlight these, how these three different components actually work together. So again, when we talk about connect itself, connect is something which gets deployed within your worker node. Imagine like a server running somewhere between your source and target repositories, which then has these few components. Like one of them is the connector itself, which is really either the source or the sink connector, right? Again, to specify, the source is the one which the source connector is the one which takes data from your source repositories or applications and moves it into Kafka. So here, the way it works is, since we are taking a scenario of a source connector, you have the connector, which does a job of, once you configure and launch it, it pulls data from your source. And then you optionally can use like a transform. You don't always have to use a transform. But if you want to transform, you can, again, configure that within your connector to say what you actually want to do. And you can do a series of transforms. You can say, after transforming record, after updating, let's say, all the records with this field, perform this transform. So you can chain a few transforms back to back. and then or not do anything at all. And then we have the converter, which is like, configurable, and you can see what format you want to convert it to before writing to like essentially Kafka. So that's a little bit on a high level here. Now I want to touch a little bit about the beauty of the Connect and how it scales and what are some of the advantages. So as I was mentioning, two great things about Connect. Right? First one was it's developer friendly, it's very declarative. You don't have to write any code. You start using some connectors which are already built by someone else, right? In a very declarative way. The second one was this part where it's designed to scale right from the beginning. So you as a developer or an operations person, you don't have to worry about how you will figure out the rebalancing of all your workloads or your tasks as they're running within your environment, right? So let me explain that a little bit. So imagine this is your Connect cluster, which really has different workers running. And again, to remind you, worker is one server, Java service, and think of it as a one Java server instance within which you have your connectors running, you have your transforms and other things running, right? And then here we have, for example, we take an IBM MQ source connector, and you've configured it to run with two tasks, right? And then you have S3 sync connector. When everything's fine, all your worker nodes are going to work fine, and they will continue to do the task of pulling the data independently and things like that. But let's say one of your worker nodes goes down, right? And then now it already had a few tasks running here. So the beauty about the Kafka Connect scaling is that it automatically does the job of actually moving those tasks which are running in that worker into the other workers which are running. And basically, as an ops person, you will not even realize that. Of course, you're going to know if something fails, and then there's this whole process of how it would heal and spin up the other worker. But at least your work is not going to stop. You're not going to lose any data, and that continuity is going to be there. So these things are built like out of the box, as not so much of as an afterthought, but right from the beginning. And that's why we feel the Connect offers a lot of value. And again, I'm reminding you that there are these different parts of Kafka. There's a core Kafka cluster where you have your topics running. And then we have this Connect piece, which itself is capable of scaling on itself. And this is really a little bit about how it would actually rebalance automatically when something fails, right? So that's a little bit on the Connect. And then so again, to summarize before I go into the connectors, it is one of the core functionalities in Kafka, which simplifies the way you get data in and out of Kafka. It's very developer friendly. It's declarative. It's as much self-service as you can, and there's a lot of work we're doing to make that experience better. And then it is designed to scale right from the beginning, right? So those are some of the good things about Connect, and also it comes out of the box with tools like converters or transforms, which let you actually massage your data a little bit. And convert that across different data formats, which are usually the common ask as you're moving data across different systems, right? Okay, so I'm just going to do a bit of time check. All right, so I'm going to go a little faster now on a few of the slides, but let's start with the connectors. So I'm going to give you just a little bit of background on the type of use cases we are seeing our customers adopt, and then I'll give you a sense of like some ROI or total cost of ownership, like a lot of on building a connector, so you get a sense of what is the value of adopting a connector and things like that, right? So let me just go through a few of these really quick. So there's one pattern we're seeing. A lot of our customers are actually using MQ messaging type of solutions, and they want to get data in and out of their messaging solutions, and a lot of, and predominantly a majority of our customers actually with using at least IBM MQ type of solutions. They're all running on-prem, and a lot of them are actually running on IBM mainframes. So they're always looking at a way to reduce their costs associated with the mainframes, the MSIP cycles, and essentially they try to run Kafka Connect in a way that they push it to Kafka on a different server, and from there they can make other applications read that data, right? So this is very common pattern. We have other patterns, other types of use cases where companies want to move data from Postgres, SQL into something like BigQuery, because the data science team wants data into BigQuery. So then they start leveraging, these respective connectors, source connectors and sync connectors to move data between. And Confluent does a job of making their life easier by providing these connectors. Again, you come in as a customer, you come in as a developer, and you declaratively use these things to kind of just start using these connectors, right? There are also other scenarios where there's data, network data, or other types of data, which people want to move from services like Syslog to either Elastic or Splunk, where they can do sort of further monitoring and analysis. So we kind of focused on solving these use cases. So you'll see a lot of connectors available in this area. We're also building out some new ones. There's also the world of enterprise SaaS applications. It's very common, I think, where as and when new opportunities are created or other accounts are created, there are scenarios where customers really want to just push that data into any type of like a third-party interface. So I think a common interface which our customers are asking for is HTTP. Give us just an easy way to kind of do HTTP sync so that we can write it to any open service which supports HTTP endpoint, right? In terms of REST APIs are very popular today. So this is an HTTP sync connector, which then will allow us to take this data, which already is in Confluent, and then write. Right? So these are some use cases. There are quite a lot more others. I think I should have listed a few more related to Amazon S3 as well. They're quite popular, so I think perhaps maybe I can share more data on that. Just one quick thing. Just wanted to give you a sense of from our understanding, because we've been building connectors for some time now. We've realized that there are a couple of different challenges involved in building connectors. At least the challenges where our customers face. First of all, you need to on an average, every enterprise uses more than X number of applications, and that number varies depending on whether you're SMB or medium or large enterprise. So you need to have expertise in-house to understand that system, let's say like IBM MQ or PostgreSQL. So you spend time, energy, and effort on understanding that system. Then you understand, Kafka expertise, and then you start building out those connectors. So it's a long effort. It involves multiple steps, and you have to keep it consistent if you're doing this yourself. So we try to do this for our customers, and this is what we have realized, that depending on the type and size of the connectors, it could take either months or years to build a good quality connector. So here on average, roughly in years, it could take really long for building out these connectors. Just giving some numbers out here, right? So just let me get into some this slide, share some visibility into the connectors we have today. We just giving a quick summary. Essentially, again, we have the connectors on-prem, which are the self-managed connectors, which means that as a developer, as a customer, you actually you own the responsibility of installing it, and time to time, if you want to upgrade it, it falls under your responsibility. So that's more self-managed, and the fully managed is the one where the connector is available up and running in the cloud. When new upgrades happen, we do the patching, and you make sure that the availability is always there and systems are up and running and things like that, right? So those are the two differences between self-managed and the cloud. And you'll see that we have a majority of our connectors right now on-prem. We support a wide range of services, from popular databases to messaging systems to storage services. And that list is only growing. And then SaaS applications like Salesforce and others, and ServiceNow and others. So we have our 85 plus, self-managed connectors. They are Confluent supported, built by Confluent. And then we have a list of about 25 plus connectors in the cloud, which are essentially for services like Amazon storage services, or or Redshift, and popular databases like Oracle and others. We also do have another category of connectors for partners, where we're working closely with partners like MongoDB and others to roll out these connectors. We recently, rolled out a support for MongoDB. It's doing really, really well. So that's again coming from the partners. So it's really hard to scale beyond a limit. There are so many applications out there, and building connectors for all of them and supporting over a period of time, it's really, really hard, because we want to provide this in our ecosystem so our customers are successful in moving their data easily in and out of Kafka. And we are doing our bit by doing as much between the self-managed and the cloud connectors. But we also cannot be successful unless we work closely with our partners. So that's a big piece here, where we are supporting partner-based partner-supported connectors.
Kundan, I have another question here.
Sure.
Where can I find the full list of the preview connectors?
A full list of the preview connectors. Okay, sure. I'm going to give you a quick glimpse in the next slide of some of the connectors, but I will also send you a link to the documentation. We do have a list of preview connectors on-prem, and then we have there's only one in the cloud right now. So I'll be able to share that just in the next slide. And I'll talk a little bit about what the preview connector means. So just one very quick slide on building your own connectors. There is an ability today, the underlying framework of Connect itself offers a sort of a way for you to build out custom connectors, and we are kind of working, adding more functionalities on top of that to make it easier for our customers to kind of build their own connectors if they want to. But again, I would say I will go back to that previous slide to highlight the effort involved in building a connector and maintaining it. Something to keep in mind. If there is a list of applications, if there's a particular application or service you want to build a connector for, and if it's not available, you can always reach out to us. You can request for that. There's a process for it. Within the cloud, there is even an application where you can request a connector. So I would always recommend that you start with reaching out to Confluent to see if we have any plans for building out a connector. You can also explore the community ones or the partner ones. And if you do not see any plan or roadmap or vision for any for the application for which we plan, if you're not planning to build any of those connectors, then you can always explore this approach of building your own connectors. So I'll share more details on this one. Let me just highlight one or two slides more. It's 10:41, so I think we're doing good. There is, I think some of the folks in my previous call mentioned that I think a few audience in this call are interested in ElasticSearch. They're using ElasticSearch. So I thought I'll share a few details here. We already have ElasticSearch Sync Connect available today, quite popular, both on-premise and cloud. It's available in both our offerings. It has a set of capabilities already today, current features, but we are working on some interesting new enhancements. Some are more closer on our roadmap than others. Like, for example, the data stream support is a new functionality which is being rolled out by the Elastic team, and which really makes it easier for people to organize the way they index their content. Instead of writing all the content, let's say log-related content and network-related content in a single index, you now have a way to basically specify a stream, specify the type of data you're writing, and then based on that, ElasticSearch will automatically create different structure for that internally. So that's the data stream support. That's a higher level abstraction, which makes it easier for you to just separate your content which you're writing to Elastic based on the type of the content, right? So that's something which we are working on to support. You should see that come out hopefully soon. Then essentially we've enhanced the connector to support three new configuration properties, which make it easier for a developer to just declaratively define the data, and from there on you'll be able to write to a data stream instead of a regular index, right? Then a few other common asks like OAuth 2.0 support and some configuration related changes which our customers are requesting. So we're working on that. So those are some of the key things. I think unless I had a couple of extra slides for this data stream support, only if somebody's interested. If not, I can share that through share this slide deck, and then you can take a look at that. But apart from that, I think those are the slides I wanted to cover today. So unless there are other questions, this would be a good time to actually get into the questions if there are any other.
Yes, thank you so much, Kundan. Anybody have any questions? Any questions for him? And like Kundan said too, what we'll do is get all these links out to you guys. I also want to send everyone a link for our next event, which is the third event in this series, and it's actually KSQL, and so going to be streaming SQL for Apache Kafka, and that's on June 24th. If you guys are in the meetup, you should probably already see that, but I'll be sure to send those links to you as well as what Kundan had mentioned about the preview connectors and actually getting like a demo environment. So he'll send resources on that will get out to you guys.
And then I think I would just say there's also a few other resources which we have, good blogs and really good explanation by the experts who've been around in Confluent for a really long time, and they've shared their perspectives. So I'll be able to share those blogs. Then we have some good books for you to download. I think written by the top experts. I think I'll send a direct link to these books in case if you're not already aware. I think these books are so popular that I'm pretty sure most of you are aware of it. But if not, I think these are a good place to start for someone who's starting to learn about Kafka.
Excellent. Let's see. Yeah, we had some folks say thank you for the presentation. And yeah, actually somebody asked about the training too, so that's nice.
Yeah, there's one more thing I would say. There is, I know there are a few training videos on YouTube. I'll share that as well. Most likely you must have come across them. I think there's one by Tim Berglund and others. They are so popular, and Tim Berglund, who does some of those sessions and most of the sessions, does such a good job of talking. I think you definitely are going to love those sessions. So in case you've not come across them, I think I'm going to share a link. And amongst of all the topics, there's also a series which he's created for Connect. So what we covered today, Kafka Connect, you'll hear from a better presenter, much better than me. I'll highly recommend that you take a look at those videos. So I'll share that link as well. Yeah.
Okay, sounds great. Yeah, that'll be, I'm sure, very helpful, especially for some of the junior audience and stuff. They'll probably get a lot of value out of that. Can you spell his last name for me?
It's Tim Berglund. So give me one
Berglund.
second.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
Berglund,
I think it's Burgland.
Berglund. Okay. Oh, I think we lost. Nanda. Everybody just wants to hang tight. Hello.
So sorry about that. I think
it's okay.
Okay, can you see me now or hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So did you get the name? It's I was just looking up the name. It's Berglund. That was the last name. But I'll share that actually with you.
Okay. That works. It looks like we're having some issues on the actual live. I've never seen this error before, so if you guys can
actually, yeah, I think I don't see the session to be live anymore. I think something happened.
Because it still says we have. That's strange.
Maybe you can try to make it live again.
Let's see.
I mean, it's my.
Oh,
can you see my slides?
There we go. We should be.
But I don't think we are probably not live. If you.
It is recording at least, and we still have 9 attendees in the audience. So there was a couple more questions that came through.
Okay, sure.
So if we just want to answer them, we can, and then we can just go from there. It looks like we're live, so, but I'm having some issues on the
Maybe
actual
you can
send
ask
button.
someone to confirm if they can hear us in the chat.
Yeah.
Is there an option?
Can anybody? Yeah, that's a good point. If anybody can hear us, please send us a sign. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's nothing new coming in. Well, I guess we'll just have to end it here. That's so strange. Oh, okay. Yeah, so Steve said that he can hear and see us. Yep, okay. So we are still live. We're good to go. Okay. Yeah, so one of the other questions was, what advice can you give for a junior technologist in the audience? Maybe just in general, unless there was something specific.
Like you're talking about in the context of Kafka Connect, I imagine, like in terms of learning and things like that.
Yeah, I would assume that's probably a good assumption there.
Yeah. I think this is a great space to be in. I think it's very different from like the way companies have processed their data before, and so that let me just highlight one or two again trends and why I think it's great for new engineers to kind of pursue more in this space and learn more about it. Because I think predominantly for so many years now, companies like Oracle, IBM, they all existed. They had their databases, and other enterprises used those databases to store data. But processing the data which is generated by the applications was as a very afterthought in the past. And that part, which means that much after the data generated by the applications was it moved to a data warehouse or data mart. It still is the case in a lot of scenarios in a lot of enterprises, and it is okay for a lot of use cases. But to the most part, for scenarios where you want to get a sense of how your customers are thinking about you, or what sort of new trends are something which you want to get visibility into as a company. But those kind of things, it's very important that you get real-time visibility and act on the data as it's happening. And that's why companies are completely changing their approach to processing this data for critical applications. At least they want to know what's happening right now, because tail data is not just an option anymore, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why this particular technology is such a game changer, because it offers a lot of these underlying goodies, which is like developer friendly. It's easy to scale. Those are all coming from the framework itself. And of course, like companies like Confluent are taking steps ahead to kind of build a nicer experience around it and make it more easier for our customers to adopt that technology and make them successful, right? So I think this space in general, is amazing. I think that's why I would say, for all these reasons, companies are adopting it and something for you to explore and learn more about.
Excellent. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap up. Thank you so much again, Kundan. It was definitely nice to sit here and learn a little bit more. Hopefully, everybody got some value out of it. If you have any more questions, please let us know. But you can also send them to me, and I can get them to Kundan to answer later on. So. Otherwise, we're all set from here. Thanks again so much for joining us and taking the time. Yeah, Kundan, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your time. So yeah, I look forward to hopefully doing some more events with you in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really exciting, and thanks for giving me the opportunity. So yeah, looking forward to more such sessions. So thanks again.
Absolutely, no problem. All right, take care, everybody. Thanks again. hope you enjoyed this episode. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.